Making this video as like another vape video. I made a couple before, but the vape community online is strong and they are very into what they're into, and I am not an elitist vapor, and I'm definitely not a expert at vaping, so I'm not here telling you what's the most badass new device or what's the best juice or anything. These are all particular subjective opinions. Everybody has their own opinion about what they like with vaping. But I've noticed when a lot of folks talk about it, it's difficult for people to get around the basics of vaping, and I just wanted to run over some of the devices I've had, only because I finally found something that I really enjoy. And it reminds me of when a person let's say a person gets a new Mercedes, okay? And they find out that they enjoy driving their Pinto more. But in their mind, they know they've spent a lot of money on this Mercedes, so they want to justify their purchase. Now, vaping is very similar. A person could spend $200-300 on a really nice mod box. Usually they're around $100, between $50 and $100 for a cheap one, but you can go way up. I mean, it's like buying anything. There's an endless choice of things that you can buy. So it's kind of daunting, and I've been vaping for about a year now, and I started out with the average standard, these pens that everybody's had. I've got a crap load of them, and the various batteries and whatnot, and that worked when I was first starting out, first quitting. But and I told myself, well, I'm not really into vaping for vaping, I'm into it just to quit smoking. So a few months after I'd started, I went and I bought this other unit. It was one of these units with the box. This is an eVic Mini. It actually had this top that came with it. It's a piece of shit. It ended up breaking. But I went out and I bought another top for it. Now this is the, well, I have two of them. One of them is actually full of cannabis extract, but the other one I'm not using anymore. These are both Arctic tanks. And so you hear all this talk about sub-ohm coils, and people get really thrown off by what all of this means. I'm not going to go into the details of all that. I just want to talk about a couple devices. So here we have the standard device, okay? And this is what pretty much everybody's using, which would be called, and call it whatever you want. It's an atomizer. It takes one of these little atomizers that go with that thing, and these are pretty cheap online for like $1 each. But eventually I got to the point where I wanted to build my own. And I told myself I never would get there, but I did. I'd gone through about 3 different tanks, including the Arctic, the eVic, and this Lotus tank, which was a complete piece of crap. It fell apart like 2 different ones. So I went out recently and I bought myself something new, which was this. And this was the Griffin 25 tank. The guy at the store, I said, I want a rebuildable atomizer, but I want to be able to still have the tank option. So that would be what people call the RDA, or, rebuildable tank atomizer. So this works pretty well, except for the fact that I'm just not enjoying the flavor. It's like the Mercedes that just doesn't drive as well as, and honestly, this comes down to so many factors. This can be strictly the nicotine level that you use in your juice could affect which device you want to choose. Because I like to vape like 6 to 12 milligram, and some people like 3 or 0. So some units won't give you a harsh hit even on, a very close tank. And here's what I've noticed. They tend to get a harsh hit with those ones. I went out and I bought this the other day, okay? This is a Magma Paradigm. And this is, an RDA, rebuildable atomizer. This is an interesting one because it has a really deep well, like a 4 milliliter well. The well is what holds the juice that soaks up into, the cotton, and then the coil burns that. Very simple drip unit, and I hadn't bought a drip unit because I said they're just too inconvenient. But I saw it for $5 in the closeout bin, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. I like it. The flavor is amazing. You can, and after reading about this, I found out that you can actually, there are flavor chasers, there are cloud chasers, and then there are people in it for the nicotine. Then there are people in it for the similarity to a cigarette. There's so many different reasons people vape, but mostly it's to quit smoking. But you will change what you enjoy over time. So I tried this. It works pretty well, but gives kind of a harsh hit on a higher nicotine level. So these, these RDAs tend to be a little bit harsher unless you're using really low nicotine. So, a lot of people choose that option. So, which brings me to, well, this is the case that I'm pulling all this crap out of. This is how interested I got in it. I've got all my batteries, my coils, all this different stuff, and all of this is just going to sit here on the sidelines because this is the unit I like. This is the Kanger Nebox, N-E-B-O-X. And I bought it because it was on closeout for $15. I wanted to get my wife a vape pen, and I made a video where I mentioned this before, but after going back and forth between all my different devices, this is the smoothest, most consistent, cleanest hit. And I think that that's due to the fact that down here at the bottom, you have this part that unscrews, okay? And inside here is where the atomizer is. And it comes with not only the regular atomizers, but rebuildable atomizers as well. Now this is a rebuildable one. So I did my own coil and put my own box in there. Or put my own cotton in there, got it all nice. And look at the side, look at this tank on the side. That thing holds a lot. It's got the standard settings, everything that a regular unit has. And the battery, the only inconvenience that I've found with it is that the battery here is, you have to take a penny to unscrew it to replace the battery. But a lot of these smaller units actually have the pop-off side, like this one right here, which becomes a pain in the ass when the magnets start to wear out or break. So as far as the convenience, once you put a battery in there, you can of course charge it from the side. But I firmly think that the reason why this is so nice and smooth is because, and here's another thing, it burns at a very low wattage. You can get a good hit out of 20 watts or 17 watts. And I think the coolest thing about it is the fact that it fits in your pocket, but that also the way that it's designed is very conserving in the way that the atomizer's down here, and it has that entire tube to feed out of before the vapor comes out. So you can choose to take a mouth to lung hit, like a cigarette, and it's so smooth, and the consistency and the feel is very natural. Or you can take a big long hit, and it's actually got the little hole down here, that's where the air feeds through. I find this to be a really awesome unit. I'm really stoked that I got it for $15. But my point isn't here to prop up this unit at all. It's to say that if you're shopping to vape, if you're looking to vape, there's a lot to learn about it. But be careful what people are telling you, because you want to make sure that they're using the same nicotine level as you, they're using the same type of juice, that they're after the same effects or the same needs. Some people just want to blow big, huge clouds. Don't care about nicotine at all, nor do they care about flavor. They want to blow clouds. There are other people who don't care about how big of a cloud they blow, they want flavor, and that's where I found this Magma comes in. Some people say that it's really good for lung hits, but maybe it is with the lower nicotine level, but with the stuff I use, it tends to be a little harsh. So, that's all I wanted to cover. I'm definitely not a vape guy, but I've become that way because it's helped me quit smoking, and I find it to be such a useful thing. And when I've looked for information on what products to use and what's the best, you sure as hell can't go to the vape shop and ask them. The guys want to sell you everything that's new and cool. They want to show you the newest, most expensive, awesome thing. And it doesn't even have to be expensive, but it's about, you're asking a person who may have a different vape need. My example is that when I actually bought this bigger unit, this Griffin unit, I paid like $50, I think $40, because I got a discount, but when he was filling, he did the build for me, the first one, and then he asked, what kind of juice do you want? And I said, blueberry muffin, 12 milligram. And they all kind of looked at me funny. And they're like, he's like, 12 milligram? He's like, damn. And I said, yeah, I'm here for the I'm here for the drugs, not for the clouds. he kind of, a couple minutes later, he's like, yeah, I know, a lot of people are into the clouds, and he's like, I like to find a happy medium or a middle ground. So that's the hard part, and this is why I'm making this, is because a lot of people who are telling others what units to get, they got to realize what they're in it for. Some guys just want to blow big clouds, and that's not my thing. I tried that, and it's just not, conducive. I find that vaping, with a small unit like this, taking normal drags like you would with a cigarette, is probably much less harmful than smoking. But I also believe that if you're draining a tank like this every couple of hours because you're taking monster lung hits of vape juice, I don't care if you're vaporizing it or combusting it, you're inhaling massive amounts of stuff into your lungs. So you can't deny that that could be harmful. And I think that this is understated in the vaping community. And a lot of people are speaking out now. There's a fear that if we talk about the dangers of vaping, then we're somehow detracting from it. Or, you got to be honest with it. You remember the ads in the 60s. They told you that smoking made you cool. They told you it made you happy. Vaping can't go that same route. You got to take it for what it is. It's not something that's cool, okay? Vaping is something that helps people quit smoking. And it's turning into a trend. And I'm very cautious about stepping on anybody's toes who's really into the vaping community. I just can't understand how people can have competitions where they inhale large amounts of steam into their lungs and blow it out, as if that makes you, what are you winning there? I mean, we've got different lung capacities. Some people have harsher, lungs that can handle more harshness. So you can handle bigger clouds. And I just don't understand that, but I'm not, that's that community. And this is why the vaping thing is so hard for people to figure out, because if they Google it, they'll get some guy who's tried like 50 units and he's got totally different needs. So that's my vaping video, probably my last one, because I'm going to stick with this thing now, because I'm much more like the Pinto than I do the Mercedes.